I don't think this is what your spring flowers are supposed to look like. I hope it doesn't hurt them. There was some green growing until we got more snow. Well, in today's video, I do have a few spring projects, and at the end of the video, I have a furniture before and after makeover. I hope you enjoy the video. For this project, I am taking some of these ceramic vases that I thrifted last summer. I think I actually did a DIY on a couple of them in another video. But what I'm going to do is, for a couple of them, I have mixed up some brown paint, some brown acrylic paint with water. And I'm just going to give them a base coat of this brown paint, just on a couple of them. And then I'll be back to show you what we're going to do next. Okay, so I only painted 2 of the vases with the brown paint, and I have 3 left. And what I'm going to do is I am using this Iron Orchid Designs mold right here that has the bunnies and the eggs on it, the egg on it, and the floral arrangement. And I have already cast one of the eggs, and I've put it on one of the vases. Now I'm going to use some more air dry clay, and I'm just going to do the top half of the bunny, this bunny right here, and I'm going to create a casting. And for the third vase, I'm going to be using this mold right here, the basket of flowers. And that is what that mold looks like. And I'm going to let these dry so they can kind of take shape of the vase. And then I will, I'll probably let them dry for an hour or so, and then I will be gluing them on. For my next project, I am using one of these cutting boards that I have used in previous videos. I had thrifted several of them. And I have cast one of the cabbage leaves from this mold right here from Iron Orchid Design, this spring garden mold. I used the cabbage leaf. And then I also used the bunny mold that we used previously. And I cast this bunny right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let the cabbage leaf dry for just a little bit, and the bunny, and I'm going to paint the cabbage leaf, and then I'm going to paint the bunny, and I'm going to try to put the bunny on top of the cabbage leaf. So we'll see how that goes. To paint my cabbage leaf, I'm going to be mixing Fusion, Arcadia Pear, and Fusion Manor Green together to see what color I can get. I really like this color. I'm going to let it dry, and now I'm going to be using the brown paint mixture that I used on the first 2 vases. I have some left, and I'm just going to be going over the bunny mold. Okay, so I'm finally back to the brown vases that I painted first. What I'm trying to do with these is I'm trying to make them look like a chocolate Easter egg, like a decorated chocolate Easter egg that you would get at Easter time. So I'm taking this Wilton mold. I've had it for a while. It's a fondant mold, I'm sure, for cake decorating. But I'm using this border trim right here, and I'm going to put it down each side of the vase to look like the icing where the egg was put together. So the casting is with air dry clay, and it is going to be just a little bit longer than the side of my vase, but that's okay. I'm just going to go ahead and take it off and smooth it along the bottom there. I may have to touch it up with a little bit more brown paint, but that's okay. I have already completed one side of one, and I put it in this little holder to let it dry for a little bit so I can glue it on. So it's been a little over an hour, and I'm going to go ahead and get all these molds glued on, and then I'm going to let them dry completely. Okay, it's been a few days and it's time to paint the little vases. I'm going to paint one with a pink paint, one with a green, and I'm going to paint one with a blue paint. Okay, so this is what the cutting board looks like. I know it doesn't look the best, but hopefully I'm going to make it look better. I've taped off with painter's tape where I want to paint, and I'm going to be using Dixie Belle chalk mineral paint in the color Magnolia to paint over the cutting board. I'm just trying to dry brush over the molds, and if I think I have too much paint, I'll try to wipe it back with a baby wipe. And while I have some of the Magnolia color on my brush, I'm going to dry brush over these molds on the vases, just lightly brushing some of that Magnolia color on there. And then I'm going to be sealing them up with some Dixie Belle Voodoo Gel Stain to hopefully give them a vintage look. But I just wanted a little bit of the Magnolia color on the molds. Okay, so the top coat has dried, and I'm going to be using the Voodoo Gel Stain in the Au Naturel by Dixie Belle. I had a little bit on my hand right here, but I'm going to be using a sponge brush, and I'm just going to brush it in to give it like a vintage look, and then wipe some of it back. You could do the same thing with a wax too, but I just like the color of this for giving it just a little bit of a vintage look. So I'm going to go around and put this on, and I'll be doing both sides, and I'll be doing the same thing to all three vases. So this is basically what I'm doing, putting it on with the sponge brush and then wiping it back with a dry paper towel. While the paint is drying, I'm going to take these vases that I painted like a chocolate color and put like faux icing on the sides like an Easter egg, and I'm going to put a transfer on them because that reminds me of like decorative Easter eggs that we used to get when I was little. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm not for sure which transfer book these florals came out of, but if you know, leave it down in the comments and help us out. But I'm going to go ahead and transfer this one onto this egg, and then I have this one that I'm going to transfer onto the other egg vase. So the transfers do need to be sealed in, so I'm going to be sealing them in with the Dixie Belle clear coat in the flat finish. So I really like the way the bunny and the cabbage leaf came out. I just feel like it needs something else. So I thought since the bunny was brown, I have this paint inlay that I still have a lot of it left. It is the Delft Traditions in the Noir color. And it has these borders in the paint inlay package. And I like these lacy ones. And so I think I'm going to put them at the top and the bottom and see how I like that. I did think about putting some roses on there, but I think I just like the border. I'm going to try that first. I'm going to be applying another coat of the Dixie Belle paint in the color Magnolia to put my paint inlay into. Going to be doing the same thing that I just did for the bottom border. The paint inlay has dried and it's time to see what it's going to look like. I'm going to spritz it with water, both sets of borders, and let that set for just a few seconds and dab off the excess water. And I love how the way it looks. I think it just added the right touch to this cutting board. Let me know in the comments what you think. I'm gonna let the paint inlay dry for a little while, and then I will be putting a top coat on because the paint inlays do need to be sealed. I really hope you enjoyed the projects today. I had a lot of fun making these projects. And I also hope you are inspired to create with your molds, paint inlays, and transfers. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch my video. I really appreciate it. And I hope you have a great day. Here's the piece of furniture that I painted and put the paint inlay on. I also painted the inside. I think it turned out super cute.